Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. So in today's video we are going to do something much different to the usual Barcelona videos, because in today's video I do want to talk about the Barcelona players that have participated in the Euros and in the Copa America, and just talk about how they did perform with their national team. I think that it's very interesting to see how these players do function within Barcelona and within the international teams. There has been some players from Barcelona that did not play or participate in any game as of yet, and there has been some players within this list that has been playing a very important part for their national team, and we are going to be reviewing each one of these players. And the first player that we are going to be talking about is going to be about Frenkie de Jong. We are going to be starting with a big bang because Netherlands did beat Ukraine 3-2. It was a very exciting match. This was a match where I do think that the Boer, who is the current Netherlands coach, he has unified this team a lot more compared to the very beginning stages and games when he first entered the national team after Ronald Koeman. Yes, the Netherlands is still a very fragile team. They have shown that they do have some weaknesses. Like, for example, in that second goal that Ukraine did score, there were many players in that moment that did not know what was their roles, who was going to be marking who. And so there was some confusion. But I think that in the end, this is a Netherlands team that still showed improvement. But at the heart of this team, it was Frenkie de Jong, and especially going up against Ukraine. There were many times in this game where Frenkie de Jong was always available for his teammates. There was not a single moment where Frenkie de Jong was marked and the players could not rely on him. Frenkie de Jong was always available. And the fact that the players were passing towards Frenkie de Jong, knowing that he was going to be making the right decision on the ball, knowing that he's going to be making the correct pass on the ball, and knowing when he should be switching play within the field, this is something that you could describe Xavi Hernandez to be, because Frenkie de Jong was that player with the Netherlands against Ukraine. He was a very reliable player. And one of the biggest things that did stand out in terms of his game against Ukraine was the fact that there were many situations where Frenkie de Jong was placed as a left winger, maybe sometimes as a right winger, maybe sometimes as a central attacking midfielder, a defensive midfielder, a right back. There were many times where he was placed in that situation and he had to act like he was placed in that role, and he did very well at doing so. And he adapted to every area on the pitch, and that's very important. And especially when it comes to Barcelona's game, is to have these players being able to adapt when needed in a certain position. Frenkie de Jong did not let down his teammates. And you look at the final stats that de Jong has placed against Ukraine, we can see here that he has a total of 113 touches, 92% pass accuracy, 85% total duels won, 6 attempted take-ons, 5 of them were successful, 5 attempted long passes, 3 of them were successful, 2 chances created, and 2 interceptions. And to do this at a very high level, and especially in the Euros, that is outstanding. If I were to describe this performance of Frenkie de Jong in one sentence, I would say this: Frenkie de Jong allowed the Netherlands to breathe. Moving on towards the next player, and we are going to be talking about Pedri, another player where we are going to be talking about another spectacular performance, because Pedri, going up against Sweden, he played and showed a spectacular level. With this start that Pedri did have in the Euros, he did become the youngest player to start with Spain in a major tournament, and it was up against Sweden. So this was a moment for a player like Pedri, and many Barcelona fans were backing this player at the very beginning of this match. But here's the one thing that I do want to say about Pedri's performance, and this is going to be huge. I honestly think that Pedri's performance was more impressive than Frenkie de Jong's performance against Ukraine. And let me explain why I'm saying this. At the start of the match, Spain started with Koke, Rodri, and Pedri in the midfield. And the fact that you have 2 very experienced players, you would expect the players surrounding the midfield to rely on Rodri and Koke. But what we did see in this game against Sweden was that the Spanish players were heavily relying on one player, and that was Pedri, a 18-year-old midfielder, where if we were to go back 1 year, no one knew who Pedri was. Every time Spain was moving forward and progressing the ball forward, knowing that they wanted to attack, and seeing how Sweden were basically doing and executing a deep block, Spain were always looking for Pedri to create those chances. And this is something very interesting to take note of, because again, they had Koke, Rodri, Thiago Alcantara, who came in later in the game, and the fact that Pedri was the player to be chosen to create for the Spanish national team, that is a very big deal. And if you were to look at the stats that Pedri has placed against Sweden, he has played a total of 90 minutes. He did have a total of 112 touches. The accurate passes was 97 out of 104, which came out at 93% pass accuracy. The long balls that he has completed, 8 of them were accurate out of 9. He has completed 2 ground duels out of 4, and all of this were numbers coming from a 18-year-old midfielder. If you were to ask me who was the one player that looked the most experienced out of all Spanish midfielders and in general the players, it was Pedri. Pedri looked like he has been playing with the Spanish national team for 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 years. And what really stand out the most about Pedri up against Sweden was the fact that he is so good at breaking lines to look for those lanes where he can't place the ball and give Spain a very big chance. Another thing to note is the fact that we do see Pedri knowing when to make a horizontal pass is also something very exciting to see, because he plays at such a mature level that he knows exactly what decision to make. And as we continue to see Pedri more and more with the Spanish national team and with FC Barcelona, you do tend to see one thing, and that is that Pedri doesn't play on the field to score goals or to provide an assist. Yes, would he like that? He would, because again, he is an 18-year-old kid who would love to assist and score, but that is not his main priority. What Pedri wants to do with Barcelona and with Spain especially is that he wants to make the best decision possible that can bring and glue the Spanish starting 11 together. And to put it quite simple, to organize. Pedri is an organizer for the Spanish national team, and we did see that up against Sweden, and I cannot wait to see Spain's second match in the Euros, because we know that Pedri again is going to be in the heart of that midfield. Moving on towards the next performance, and we're going to be moving on towards the Copa America, and that is going to be about Lionel Messi. So in this game, Argentina did tied against Chile 1-1. It was a very 50-50 game. Chile did show some weaknesses in the attack and in the defense, and Argentina especially did show some weaknesses in the attack and in the defense. And I think that overall, when it comes to Argentina's game, it was a very underwhelming match. And I'm saying this because we expected more coming from this Argentina team. Because I remember back in the year of 2019 and 2020, Argentina was actually playing very well. And one of the formations that did greatly improve this squad under the new coach was either the 4-4-2 or the 4-3-2-1. These are the formations that have been proven to work for the Argentinian national team. And the fact that we came into this game going up against Chile in a 4-3-3, I do believe that this was a big mistake coming from the coach. Because let me tell you, we knew that Chile were going to attack. They were not going to sit back and absorb all of the attack and the pressure coming from Argentina. Chile were going to attack, which meant that there was going to be more space in the middle of the field. And it would have made much more sense for Argentina to use the 4-3-2-1 or the 4-4-2 and bring in a player like Angel Correa from Atletico Madrid to swallow all of the space that Chile did leave behind. Because in the Argentinian starting 11, there was not a player that was within that starting 11 that was able to swallow the space. And Correa in a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-2-1 would have allowed that. And overall, looking at this Argentinian national team, there just has to be more improvement in the attack and in the defense. And the one thing that really struck me about this game between Chile and Argentina is the fact that Argentina showed that they're actually very average in the defensive line and very, very average, my friends, in the attacking line. And that is what disappointed many fans and Lionel Messi the most, is the fact that we saw Messi create many chances on the field for his teammates like Lautaro Martinez, sometimes Di Maria, sometimes Sergio Aguero, only for these players to miss those chances. The only thing that really kept Argentina alive in this game was Messi's spectacular free kick. If you guys were to look at that free kick coming from Messi, there was just no way Bravo was going to stop that shot. Messi's shot in that free kick was unstoppable, and it was such a pleasure to watch. But let's focus on Argentina again, right? And the main reason why I am talking about Argentina as a whole is because, look, if we want Messi to win a trophy with this Argentina national team, like a major trophy like a Copa America or the World Cup, this team does need to greatly improve. And you and me know that we greatly do want to see Lionel Messi finally achieve a major trophy with the national team. But with these players playing in this way, they will not be able to permit that for Lionel Messi. There were great performances sometimes coming from De Paul or Paredes from PSG. They could potentially help this national team, but the big question is going to be this, right? If it's really going to stay like this and Argentina do not improve, the big question is going to be this: how far can Messi take Argentina in the Copa America? So there are a lot of questions surrounding this team, and it does need to be fixed as soon as possible as this Copa America continues to progress. Moving on towards the next player, and we are going to be talking about Antoine Griezmann. So this was probably one of the best games we have seen in this summer. France did beat Germany 1-0 through an own goal, and I know that if you were to look at this from the headline point of view, and if you were to see that France only won 1-0 and that it was an own goal, you would assume that it was not the best match in this summer, but it actually was. If you were to actually look at the full 90 minutes of this game, there were so many layers to unpack in this game that I cannot talk about the whole game because I do not want this video to be too long. But when it came to Kimmich playing as a right winger, Pogba dominating the midfield, Kante defending every attacking opportunity that Germany did have, to Kylian Mbappe taking down many players, and Hummels going up against Kylian Mbappe, it was a great match to see. The one thing that really made France stand out out the most and what makes them very different to all national teams, right, in the Euros, is the fact that France has weapons. Many teams do not have that. We saw Spain go up against Sweden, but there was not a player that looked like a weapon that can mark a difference for that team. You look at England, everyone was playing at the same level. You look at Germany, everyone was playing at the same level. Does that mean that the national teams are bad? No, they're not. It's just that everyone played at the same level, but there was no definitive player in each of those teams. But when it came to France, France has that. France has 2 or 3 weapons that can make that definitive change within 90 minutes, like Kylian Mbappe, Antoine Griezmann, Pogba, sometimes Benzema. This is a team where if everything does go wrong, there could be a player within that squad list that can mark the difference. And I think that because many players are capable to stand out from this French national team, and we saw Kylian Mbappe and Benzema and Pogba being heavily involved in the attack going up against Germany, the one player that was kept aside was Antoine Griezmann. I do believe that that was the game plan, because every time France had to defend up against Germany, Griezmann had to join in. And that is the part that I do want to focus on. Griezmann's defensive game against Germany was outstanding. There were many times in this game where Griezmann was stopping Germany from even beginning their attack, and that is only because he read the game very well. And I think that if Griezmann wants to have that definitive tournament, that good tournament where everyone can say that, okay, Griezmann is in that conversation where he was one of the best players in the Euros, he needs to be way more involved in the attack. I understand that in this game against Germany, maybe the coach did demand more defensive duties from Antoine Griezmann, because he says that you don't have to worry about being involved in the attack because we have Mbappe and Pogba who can cause damage up against Germany. I can understand that, but I think that if Griezmann really wants to have that tournament, he needs to be more involved in the final third area. And then I do want to talk about the last 4 players, and this is going to be very quick. Agüero and Dembélé did play for their national teams, but we did not see much coming from these 2 players because they barely got any minutes. Dembélé only played about 3 minutes for the national team, and we also saw Sergio Agüero, who played about 15 minutes for the Argentinian national team. They did not do much. I cannot really say much. Hopefully in the second game they can see more minutes and they can bring great results. As for Emerson and Eric Garcia, they did not play at all. Emerson has yet to make his debut in the Copa America, and Eric Garcia has yet to make his debut for the Euros. But in time, I do assume and do expect these players to play a very important part for their national team. But as of now, they did not play. But that's going to be wrapping up today's Barcelona daily news. Let me know which player from Barcelona put out the best performance for their national team. Let me know in the comment sections down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys in the next video.